Talking about suicide can be uncomfortable, but we must encourage people to talk. Talking is not always easy. If someone you know and love said they were thinking about taking their own life, would you know what to do? Would you be able to ask them if they were thinking about ending their life? When talking about suicide, it's important to be direct. Using the word suicide does not put the thought into someone's head. Using the word suicide does not make it more likely to happen. But being direct will reduce the chance of a misunderstanding. The feelings that drive individuals towards suicide are often temporary, and most people who think about or attempt suicide don't actually want to die. Often this is a cry for help. They're in a place where ending their life by suicide seems to be the only option left to them. However, this is a permanent solution for a temporary problem. What does this mean for suicide prevention? Cancer Research UK and its partners have shown the impact that normalising discussion can have on illnesses. What we've learnt from cancer campaigns can and should be used to educate the nation on suicide. Like cancer, noticing the signs and symptoms of suicide early and feeling comfortable enough to come forward and talk about it can and will save lives. We're fortunate enough to be joined today by Mick Rowe, who sadly lost her brother to suicide 25 years ago.
Okay, so people always ask me if there were any signs when my brother committed suicide. And for me, that's a difficult question to answer because he'd moved to America about 5 years before, so I didn't really see him. And he'd also made it quite clear that he wasn't ever going to come back to England as well, which again, looking back now, is like, why? There's something wrong there. But I did also find out afterwards that he had tried before in this country. So, obviously that is, a very clear sign that he was serious and, wanted to end his life. My brother committing suicide made death real, I suppose. It was my first experience at the age of 22 that I realised that, we all know we're going to die, but death has become real. So that was quite a big thing. The fact that it was suicide, you couldn't kind of justify it in it was his time, or it was the way of the world, or wrong place, wrong time, because it was an accident or something like that. So I think I was pretty angry for a long time with the world and with him in particular. For years, it's 25 years now, and I'd say for 20 odd years I didn't think that I had any issues surrounding it. And then about, 2 or 3 years ago, I realised that, I was actually still really angry because it was all those feelings of how could he do that to me? It was quite selfish. You feel selfish thinking that, but how could he do that to me? How could he do that to my mum and dad? How could he even do that to, I've got children now, he'd have made a brilliant uncle. So there was a lot of anger. And also now I'm, a mum, it creates a whole other world of emotions because I'm now paranoid that my son, who's now 17, could experience the same sadness and depression that led to suicide. So yeah, it's never really leaves. I think that it is really important to talk about suicide because I think that people still view it as this kind of taboo subject. I think that if people were honest, there would be a really high percentage of people that had, at some point in their life, had a suicidal thought. Doesn't matter how tiny it is, it's still a thought that I'm not good enough or I don't want to be here. So if people do talk about it, then you're going to be aware that you're not the only one feeling that way. And as soon as you realise, I think, that you're not the only one, you instantly, I think, feel a little bit better. I think that the whole social media element to the world, for all its downsides, can have massive positives for people who have suicidal thoughts. I think the fact that there are posts that share Samaritan's numbers and other helpline numbers creates that opportunity for people to talk about it, or even just seeing it is helping to acknowledge the fact that it's an issue. So the challenges, there's been challenges as well. There was a press-up challenge that was brilliant, I thought, because it targeted the people that it's affecting most. It targeted young men, and you know, they were all talking about it and nominating other people to do this challenge. And I think that kind of spreading the word can be really beneficial, and as I say, just makes people more comfortable with even saying the word suicide. You know, it's a big word to lob about, so yeah, need to keep talking.